Welcome to the Livfiit Listens podcast, a safe space of growth, personal development, and overall wellness with your host, Olivia Catania. Diving into the realms of all things health, conscious living, mental expansion, and much more, this podcast is designed to help you evolve into your best self and live fit. Let's get into the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 13 of the Livfiit Listens podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Listen, few things. Tell me, okay, if you haven't seen The Grinch with Jim Carrey, I don't know if this is the right podcast for you. No, I'm kidding, but that movie is iconic in my family, and I literally just have the urge to say, listen, I don't want to make waves. I don't know if you remember when he says that, but I'm saying that because I don't want to make waves, but I'm wearing a Livfiit shirt, but it's not merch. But I just had to clear the elephant in the room because I know people watching on YouTube is going to be questioning. But this is just a shirt that one of my best friends made me for a birthday present 2 years ago, and it was the cutest, sweetest, nicest, most thoughtful present ever, and it's the cutest shirt ever. So definitely going to be using it for inspo when merch does come, but I just had to address it. So people's thoughts didn't get running. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get people's hopes up when it's just not the case. I also have tea for this episode because it's only fitting because of what the episode's about. You know what I'm saying? I'm in a weird mood. It's no secret I am. I was super quiet and monotone and kind of tired today. Not low vibe, not bad mood, but just kind of low, flat energy, I guess. But for some reason we're back. Maybe this tea is reviving me. It's decaffeinated, but it may still be doing something. Maybe it's placebo. Anyway, I also have my rose quartz here to accompany me because I also felt like it was fitting. If you don't know what rose quartz is, it's a crystal that's my favorite crystal ever, just because it's essentially the love stone. It's all centered about love and balancing relationships, whether it being platonic or romantic. So it's just literally the love stone. It helps you embody more love, which I feel like the goal of life is to do everything in more love if you can. So I love that. And so I figured this is the energy that we need to embody on this podcast episode. So for my gratitude today, I feel like I should introduce the episode just because it directly ties into what I'm grateful for. So today we're going to be talking all about just all things dating, relationships, single life, breakups. I'm just going to be touching on kind of all of that aspect because a lot of you guys have been wanting me to touch on this stuff. And I'm weirdly I kind of want to use the word passionate, honestly, about this stuff because I've learned and grown so much from my romantic relationships and even the romantic relationship of my parents. Because if you guys don't know, it's been pretty clear now, but my parents are divorced. So seeing them not have a healthy relationship also made me passionate about how to have a healthy relationship and all that sort of stuff. So I'm honestly really stoked and happy to be sitting down and talking about these things. And I didn't really know, I might do more episodes on this stuff if I can come on more of an organized topic. But today, I just decided to kind of answer some of your guys' questions that you sent in on an Instagram question box and just kind of use this kind of as a question and answer format, just to kind of facilitate conversation. And I'm just going to kind of speak my thoughts on a few of the points that you guys sent in and kind of just go from there. Like I said, maybe in the future, I'll have a more distinct, organized podcast episode about certain subjects if I need to, or if I feel called to elaborate on different topics. My hair is bothering me today. Okay, I don't know where to put it in the headphones. Anyways, okay, moving on. My gratitude for the day is that I'm really, honestly, truly super freaking thankful to have experienced love in general, because it's such a powerful thing. Like I said, I learned so much. It's been my greatest teacher, and it sounds so weird. I really don't know how to say this without sounding just so I don't know, so non-impactful or just so well, duh, we all like that. But I truly do feel a part of my mission here on earth is to experience love and to show others love in the least. I don't want to come across as the chosen one, but I'm just saying I do feel that's a part of my life path. And I do feel as crazy as that sounds, because yes, obviously almost everyone wants a loving, healthy relationship in life. But I do feel there's still people who are aren't meant to, I don't know, experience it to like the capacity or like feel as called and drawn to it as I do, or feel as much of an importance of love as I do, if that makes sense. I don't know. I still have to figure out how to like properly explain it, but I do really feel like one of my missions here on earth is to like show others love and learn my lessons from love, if that makes sense. So I don't know, maybe you guys will kind of feel me, what I'm trying to say, and relate to that, or you might think I'm kind of like, okay, but anyways. So like I said, I'm just going to scroll through here and touch on some topics that you guys want me to, or answer some questions and kind of just let this flow. Another super pretty casual episode. Don't have anything outlined, and we're just going to get into it. So I kind of feel like before I like really get into the thick of it in terms of like kind of advice, for lack of a better term or whatnot, I want to kind of touch on my previous experience with dating, because some people ask that to begin with. And I also feel like it's going to give you guys like more context. I just feel like it like makes sense. So someone asked, did you have a boyfriend/girlfriend before? Someone else asked that I talked about my first boyfriend and being cheated on, but have I had any other serious relationships, that whole shebang. So my first boyfriend, I was like 17, high school. I think it was, I dated from like 16 to 17 years old is when we dated. And then he cheated on me senior year of high school. And yeah, that was a whole shebang. And then after that, I honestly, like kind of pretty, like a few months after that, like 5 months, which I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's like decently close. It wasn't really intentional, but I just ended up like getting like, I don't know, I just got really close with this other guy. Honestly, we started off as very casual, and it was never like, I'm interested, like, will you be my girlfriend? Will you be my boyfriend? We just kind of like flowed into just being together every single day. And we kind of were like, I'm not going to lie. Like I at first was like, no, like, I don't want this to be anything. Like I can't, like I felt weird calling him my boyfriend at first. And it just like, it got to the point where I was like, he is my boyfriend. Like it's been, you know what I mean? We just kind of like flowed into that point. And then I dated him for like a year and a half, almost 2 years, I want to say. And then he went into the Air Force after that. And so we kind of split ways just because he was going into like basic training and into the Air Force. And we just like, I don't know. It was like a very healthy, super healthy relationship. Absolutely no bad blood with the kid. Like we were honestly best friends. Like we still will catch up sometimes to this day, like wish him all the best, he wishes me all the best. Like still, I don't know, it's like literally the most healthiest thing in the world. Like people won't believe it, but we just never had any bad blood, and we just kind of decided to go our separate ways because we were just at different points in life. Like I was still in college, like I said, he was going to the Air Force, and I can touch on that in a different way. Like it was definitely for the better. Like I don't ever wish that like, oh, like we're gonna get back together. I just don't. Maybe I'll get into that later in the episode, I don't know, but just no bad blood. But yes, I have had other relationships, and then those are my two only like serious like boyfriend, girlfriend. Like you're coming to a family function with me, I'm going to your family functions. Like we are public, like we are labeled, for lack, like there was only 2 times of that in my life. Then after that, I like kind of talked to a guy, if you will, in college for like 6-ish months. Never really landed. That one didn't really end super well, but like then we kind of hashed it out and it was fine. It was kind of the situation where like I didn't want anything serious because I had just kind of gotten out of a relationship, and we kind of were just like talking, was casual. Then he was like, I want something more, and I was like, I don't really know if I'm ready for that. And then I was kind of like, okay, like let's kind of, I was willing to explore that option. And then after that, he like randomly kind of pulled out of that whole situation, figuratively, and was with someone else. And that was a whole thing, because I was like, that was not cool. Like that was not the terms that we were at. Like we discussed that we were exclusive, so like it didn't really end super well. But then like he kind of came back around and like he apologized, and we talked about it and all that sort of stuff, and like ended on no bad blood. Then like talked to a couple guys like that next summer, again super casual, nothing like major at all. And then I met another guy who was actually my kickboxer trainer back like in my hometown. We were actually like together. We weren't official. This is like, okay, this was me acting out of an unhealed position. Looking back, I'm not proud of these actions. I'm proud of how I handled my first 2 boyfriends, especially getting cheated on. Like I'm still proud of 16-year-old me. I'm proud of how I acted with my second boyfriend, proud of how I acted with that other kid that I talked to. But this guy I didn't do any, like I didn't mistreat him. I just definitely was not upfront because I was really scared of commitment. I just was dealing with some trauma things that like I didn't know that I was healing from, and that I was carrying them from past relationships into that dynamic with him, which was not fair. And yeah, looking back, not super proud of it, but we were like together for like about a year, but we were never like official. And he would always ask like what, you know, what's going on, and I would always be like like I would just roll dodge the question. Not proud of it. And I wasn't like I was with, like, I wasn't like I was talking to a bunch of other people or with other, like, I really was just with him. But for some reason, I just could not commit. I know why I couldn't commit. Honestly, like, I just know that I couldn't picture myself with him, like, actually I didn't think that he would fulfill me in an actual relationship, like, in terms of mental stimulation and, like, mental depth and all that sort of stuff. And just, like, I just didn't feel like we would click on a long-term basis, but I really enjoyed him for who he was in the moment now and, like, being with him now. That was kind of, honestly, my doing. And then I officially kind of was like, I have to stop doing this because I know that I'm not going to commit to him. It's not fair. And I know I'm not mistreating him, but I also know I'm not as secure or I'm not all in to this dynamic as much as he is, which isn't fair to him. So then I finally was like, I need to cut these ties and let him go. So then that was kind of that. And then it's kind of been a disaster. That was kind of honestly right before, that lasted like all the way up until kind of right before I moved here. Then I've met a few guys since being here in Utah. Don't really even feel like getting into that kind of messier situations. Okay, so let's get into the questions. I feel like this is kind of a good one to start off on to kind of, I don't know, set the scene. So actually, I know Harry is my friend. Shout out Harry. He asked, what are the most important lessons you've learned from previous relationships? Which I thought is such a freaking good question. I feel like this is something that, like, this is a good, like, journaling reflection question. Like, not that I have done that, but, like, I should. And, like, feel free to anyone else who needs some reflection and, like, gaining awareness of your previous dating life. Like, just journal on this. It says, what are the most important lessons you've learned from previous relationships? And I've, like, a few things that are definitely running through my mind. The first thing that, I actually, like, tangibly remember, like, this epiphany of, like, oh my gosh, like, this is a really good lesson. And it was from that first boyfriend who had cheated on me. And it basically was just overall the whole concept of, like, it truly is, like, who you are as a person. Because, I don't know, I just kind of realized that, like, it didn't matter, like, what I looked like, because definitely for a long time, I was like, maybe if I was hotter, or maybe if I had a better body, like, he wouldn't have cheated on me or whatever. Like, I thought that, like, I needed to do something differently and be more. And that is what would have made him not want to cheat on me. But, like, I really realized that, like, it was him as a person, like, his moral compass, his character is what at the end of the day, like, led him to going through and making that decision to cheat on me. And I just learned that, like, at the end of the day, like, because same thing, like, the girl that was involved, she knew, like, I went through such a small school. Like, they all knew, everyone knew that we were together. And, like, she still also made the conscious decision to go through with that and, like, entertain that whole thing. And it just was like, I really realized that, like, above anything else, like, the true quote unquote winner, or I don't even like calling it that, but you know what I mean? Like, the true, like, the person who kind of leaves with peace in the end of the day is the person who, you know, like, kept a good moral standing, who acted out of good character, who did the right thing. And I guess, like, that was one of the first biggest lessons to me in relationship is, like, it doesn't matter really what you look like, what your body's like. At the end of the day, like, it's who's a good freaking human being. And that's what's going to cause longevity in the relationship. Like, because it didn't matter how, I couldn't change, me changing how I looked wouldn't have changed his actions. He was going to do it anyways, because that's just what his character was. That was the person that he was. So that is honestly what sparked me to be really passionate about, like, this journey of personal development and becoming the best person that I could possibly be, because I felt like that's, like, what truly mattered in life. And that was kind of also, like, the quote unquote best revenge, is just, like, leaving in peace, leaving with your dignity and becoming the best version of you. Like, I feel like that's the best thing that you can do. And kind of also going with that, I learned that, like, how people treat you is a complete reflection of them, a 10,000%. It's a reflection of their own trauma, their own healing, their own, you know, view of what the love that they think they deserve, their own view of how people are treated. It's a lot of things, but it really is a complete compilation of them and how they see themselves and how they think a relationship would go. It truly really doesn't have anything to do with you, especially in a situation of being mistreated by someone, because that is 100% them just carrying their insecurity and trauma and just projecting that onto you and how they are treating you. Another big lesson, that I learned early on was acceptance, again, from that same relationship. Sometimes shitty things happen in life and you just need to accept that and move forward. That was a big thing that I learned from relationships. And the last thing that I'm thinking of for some reason that seems pretty apparent to me is like the importance of honestly like the healthy distance to keep between you and your partner. And like, hear me out. I feel like when you get really, when you date someone for a long time and you get so comfortable, like I do feel like it is healthy to have distance in the sense of like being independent, doing your own thing, and still kind of keeping that like subtle chase aspect, if you will. That sounds toxic, but I really don't mean it in the way it might be coming across. Like I don't mean like play with them and play games and be like play a runner chaser dynamic. I don't mean that, but I mean like I think there's still, it's very healthy and has a lot of merit to it and like benefits of like having your own situation going on, your own friends, your own life, not always being available 24/7 for you guys just to sit and marinate in bed and like watch movies together all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's really healthy to have that separation and independence in your own life and kind of creating that, not like just making it aware, like a thing that like you're not disposable at each other's fingertips. Like you aren't available at 24/7 at each other's fingertips. And some might not agree with that, but I do personally think like it's really is important to keep that separation. And it's like kind of a healthy chase, in my opinion, so you guys don't get so like used to each other and accustomed to each other, and know that like it's still a privilege to be around each other and to have each other's time. So I feel like those are some of the major lessons that are coming to my mind. Okay, so someone asked how to have someone be a part of your world, but not your quote unquote whole world, which I think this is so relatable and such a relevant question. And people tend to get so lost in relationships, rightfully so. Like I'm also the queen of that. And I feel like this, honestly, I want to tie this back to the episode that I talked about how you can't place your identity outside of yourself. Like this is why I'm so also passionate about relationships in general, because there's so many life lessons that are within these lessons that are taught within love. And like, this is exactly what I mean. Like it's the same thing how like you can't have your identity and purpose and meaning get wrapped up in like your favorite hobby or favorite sport. Like same thing, you can't have it get wrapped up in this external person and like have this person, expect this person to give you so much meaning and fulfillment and like a reason to live. Like it's so unhealthy, and that's when codependency comes into play, and that's when you lose your own sense of self. That's when you don't have your own identity, your own independence. And I'm not gonna lie, like yes, it can be challenging to find where that line is, but it's so important to make the effort to establish that line, especially if you can't find it. You know what I mean? Like it's up to you to establish it. So I think as with anything, of course, I want to say like find balance and just like constantly have the awareness of knowing that like this person is not it. This person is not your world. This person is not your happiness. And honestly, like be very careful with your word choice of how you speak to this person. I'm going to say it because I feel like I hear, and again, I'm a totally hopeless romantic, so I get it. Sometimes it's just for the sake of it. Like you feel it that way in that moment, that person is your heart, like a manifestation of your heart outside of your body, like all this stuff. And I'm totally for that, but just also know that like this person is not your happiness in human form. This person is not your meaning in human form. And like just making sure that you're affirming that to yourself, that that I feel like will go a really long way, and just doing what you can to put in the effort to make sure you guys have you guys are separate, like knowing that you have other things to live for, that you have your own life, you have your own friends, you have things that make you happy that don't involve your partner, that you're able to be alone without your partner. And how to do all these things, you might ask, is to just practice. You have to put in the effort to do them and make the time to do them so they become more normal to you. And I really feel like they go a long way. And I'm really passionate about this for sure, because that's what scares me about relationships, is when people get way too dependent on the other person. And that's just, you can't get that dependent on anything. Nonetheless, another person, it's just a recipe for disaster. And I never want to put myself in that position, because that's just honestly, if I were to ever get that dependent on someone else, that is just the epitome of me handing my power away and completely depending on my quality of life on another person. And I just will never get to that point. I will never do that. And I think it's really important not to get to that point. Another question is how life changes /is when you accept the single life. Honestly, I was going to do a whole episode on the perks of being single, because I think about this a lot, that I'm totally a lover. Like I said, I'm definitely like a relationship person. Like I feel like I do my best when I'm in a relationship, but at the same time, I was thinking and I was like, dude, the sky's the limit for me right now. And like kind of because I'm single, not like really, but like kind of. And I feel like there's just so many perks to being single, including the fact that I feel like I can truly do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I know it's like any healthy relationship should still allow you to feel that way. But I'm just saying, like, there's no ties of like, if I want to go make a decision, if I want to go somewhere else, if I want to change life paths or do X, Y, Z, there's no tie to another person of like, what's their opinion of me? What's their thought? Will they be able to come with me? Like, will they be able to do it with me? Like, it's like the same thing when you're trying to like make plans with multiple people, as opposed to if you're just doing it by yourself. It's so much easier just to coordinate something by yourself. And so I just feel like I have like so much freedom, and like, I don't need to worry about like taking someone else's like opinion into account all the time and like having to compromise, which is like definitely a perk. And like kind of with that, like I feel like I do so much work mentally to like take care of my headspace, my energetic state, and my mood. And like it's hard enough when my family's around to like have their pollution of energy and their mental state impacting me. It's like I feel like that's even more heightened when you have a partner where you guys like both merge into one. And it's like, you know what I mean? If they were to come home from work and like they're all pissed off or something, it's like so hard to like not take that on or like be somewhat impacted by that energy. And like I feel like that's a big perk, that like I'm completely the only one in charge of my emotional state, and I don't have someone else that's really close to me like directly influencing or potentially polluting my own like personal energetic state and my mindset, that sort of thing. I also love having all the alone time that I do. I love my morning routine. I've also been thinking about that. I'm like, yo, if I ever get married, like I don't like talking to people for like at least an hour after I wake up. Like I have to go through my whole morning routine. Like I like to just sit with myself when I wake up. I don't want anyone else's energy to pollute that in any way, whether it's good or bad. Like I just want to figure out how Liv is doing, like, and what's up with me. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, when I'm married, like, and I'm like, am I like gonna like be like, hang on, don't talk. Like I'm gonna go in the other room and meditate first, like before I say good morning. Like I don't know. So I just feel like there's things like that where like, I know all of those things were super selfish, but I think there's so much value to them in terms of like developing who you are by yourself and your own person, like developing a stable foundation of who you are as a person. So like, I don't know. I just think it's so liberating, especially when you accept single life. Like it's so empowering being like, yo, I don't need nobody. Like, I don't know. I just honestly really like it. And like someone else asked if I want a relationship right now. I feel like this ties in. They said, do you wish you had a boyfriend or girlfriend right now? I mean, of course, like as with that, like, of course, like I wish I would like someone, but I'm also not like by any means looking. And like I said, I really go back and forth because of those reasons I just mentioned. Like I am in such a selfish portion of my life right now. A lot of my passions are selfish passions. And I love having all of these freedoms that I have right now. And I don't know if I'm really ready to be compromising with someone else right now. Am I open and do I feel ready to have a boyfriend? 10,000%. I feel so ready. I feel very confident in my ability to love another person. I feel super excited to get to that point. Like I feel like I overflow with so much love. Like I can't freaking wait to be able to just unapologetically give all of that to someone. I feel like I've done the work on myself and like learned about how to have a healthy relationship, that I'm ready to, you know, participate in that with someone. But I'm also not, I also really do love where I'm at right now and the freedoms that I have and like the perks of being single, where I'm like, you know what, I can wait. So when, you know, the uni says the time is right, when divine timing is ready, I'm for sure going to be here waiting for it, like ready for it. But I'm not necessarily like wishing and feeling super upset about it all the time, that I'm not, because I definitely see the benefits of not being in a relationship right now for me and like where I'm at in life and what my goals are, which also weirdly popped into my mind. But when I was home back in upstate New York, when I went home for Thanksgiving, I found like one of my old journals, and I found it was the cutest thing. I had wrote a note to my future like partner / soulmate, and it was the sweetest thing. And I kind of feel like I can't wait to like, if I ever get married, like I want to read that at my wedding. And so I encourage you guys to like do something like that, because it was really freaking cute and like made me cry. And I was like, wow, I can't wait till I'm like able to read this to the person that like I was writing it to, and I didn't even know the person that I was writing it to at the moment, you know? Then someone asked how to not feel insecure with a new person. Such a freaking good question. I think this just goes back to, again, other episodes. This is what I mean. Life lessons in terms that are embedded in relationships. It's the same thing with like stepping into your power. Like you have to, you know, first of all, someone else can for sure feel your insecurity. And I was actually just talking about this with one of my friends last night. I was saying how like literally 60% of attractiveness is 100% how you carry yourself, your own confidence, your energetic state. And I'm sorry, I realize I just turned this to like just looks. I'll talk about insecurity with who you are as a person after this, but people can feel that if you feel insecure with yourselves, and then like it makes them insecure, it makes the energy insecure and just off and everything like that. So like you just have to show up confident and own yourself and who you are, and know that like you are attractive because of who you are, because of your mind, because of your energy. And same thing with like if you're worried about feeling insecure because maybe you haven't achieved enough or accomplished enough, like all that is just BS. That's the ego talking. Like you are beautiful and worthy and valuable just because you are you, and because like maybe you're not where you want to be at the end goal, but you're working towards that, and that's what you need to keep in mind all the time. As with any new person, like, and with anything in life, like it's going to take some time for things to warm up and for you guys to like get to know each other and it become more comfortable, but that's part of the getting to know someone process, and that's like the beautiful initial stages of getting to know someone. So don't rush that. Like, to be honest, like it's kind of like, I want to say it's fun, like not really fun to feel insecure, but I just mean like it's kind of that like first initial butterfly stages, like when you're like, you know what I mean, learning how to experience each other for the first time. So I think just take it as it comes. Know that confidence starts within you and starts with you, and own who you are and what you have right now, because that's going to speak for, you know, that's going to speak louder than like anything else could possibly speak for. So just own that and kind of enjoy this initial time period, and know that like being comfortable will come in time with one another. You guys, I'm just going to be honest. I feel like I'm really struggling today to like speak, and like, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like my throat chakra's blocked. I feel like I don't know. I'm like struggling to like formulate cohesive thoughts today, but we're going to carry on. Someone said that they're scared of being vulnerable, that their dating life is non-existent. I just want to say this is so much more common than people think. Like, so much people don't have as much dating experience as they lead on a lot of the times, or I don't know. It's like not like, just you have to trust your own path and trust where you're on and trust the timing of your own life, and know that like you truly are not the only person in this, you know, dynamic or situation, even though it may feel like it. And I think if anything, like this may be a sign of some healing that you need to do, or the energetic frequency that you're operating at, that you might subconsciously be closed off to love, that sort of thing. So more than anything, kind of use that as like a sign and a direction towards where you can put your energy towards in regards to healing different portions that you may need to be healing. Someone asked, how do you let go of what ifs with the person you loved so much? Here's my thing with breakups. This was another big thing that I learned that bring me so much peace. You guys are going to either come back to one another, or someone better for you is coming into your life. Those are the only two options. I mean, that may be idealistic, but like, again, what other option do you have other than to be idealistic? Like, no other option is beneficial by any means. So that's just always what I think about, and that brings me so much peace. So it's kind of like, how do I let go of what ifs with a person you love so much? Like, you just have to know that like that chapter has come to a close. Like now, like there are no such things as what ifs. Like those are all just, you're kind of wasting time on completely hypothetical situations that are non-existent, that you are completely just making up in your head. Like that chapter has been put to rest. Maybe a new chapter will start with that same person when the timing is right again, and you'll be able to live out those certain things that you were thinking about living out with that person, or someone who is much more suited for you is going to come in, and you're going to be able to be doing all of those things that you've dreamed about. So I don't know. I just kind of want to say, like, I just don't believe in it. Like there wasn't anything. I just don't believe that like, oh, you were supposed to have this X more amount of time with that person, but something happened and now you guys broke up. I just don't. I believe that everything fully happens for a reason, especially in love. It's all about energetic alignment. If your frequencies are aligning, where you guys are at in healing, where's your soul's journey is taking you. Like, I just truly don't believe that. Like there aren't what ifs with a person that you had to let go because you guys were meant to, you know, separate your ways, to go different ways, to separate paths. So I think just finding peace in that and finding comfort in knowing like I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of peace and healing and knowing that like people aren't meant to be in your life forever. Not everyone is meant to last and be in your life forever. It's just a principle of life, but that's the beauty of it, because that's what makes us being able to like cherish their presence. But I think like knowing how to come to peace with that era. Like I kind of see it as like, sometimes I get nostalgic about like leaving my hometown and being like, you know, a child, or like being in my high school and like just living that whole era. Like yes, I could still be, I could mourn that loss. I mourned that phase of life coming to a close. But at the end of the day, like, it is an era and it's meant to only have that era, or else it wouldn't hold as much special value as it does to me now. Do you know what I mean? Because it would just be like this ongoing thing that would last my whole length of my lifetime. But like the fact that it fits kind of in that own timeline of between ages X and X, and like that's its own little era, that's own bubble, like that's what makes it beautiful. And being able to like lay that to rest and be at peace with that and let it stay in its own timeline and let it stay in its era is so peaceful to me. And I feel like I've really embodied that with also my relationships. Like I've mourned people that I talk to, and I've thought like, what if we, actually were able to date and we could explore this relationship? Or I would mourn that like it ended faster than I wanted it to end, all that sort of stuff. But I'm like, I've learned that I needed to become at peace with the timeline that it was, because it was meant to have that timeline for a reason. And I need to respect that era that it had and lay it to rest and be at peace with that. Someone asked how to let someone go. This is making me emotional already, but I don't know. I feel like I hate saying that something's not easy, because then that's just like what programs into our mind, but it is a challenge to fully let someone go when you still feel really strongly. And to be fully honest, I had to do this with someone as well. I think you really, 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 really need to step into your higher self, your higher frequency, being the bigger person and seeing the bigger picture in order to like truly, 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 truly let someone go for the greater good. And I've been saying this again on my Instagram story as well. Like a huge lesson this past year that I've learned that wasn't the easiest pill to swallow is like, you still can truly love someone from afar. And like I said, it's challenging. Sometimes it's hurtful. Not hurtful in the sense that like they did you wrong, but it just hurts. Like you want to be able to express your love to someone. And that's something else that I learned recently. I kind of had an epiphany that like it's such a privilege to feel loved by others, right? But it's such a privilege to be able to express your love to someone else. And I do think that I even relate this back to the battle between the ego and the higher self as well. Like when we're in a relationship, we tend to, a lot of us, define love in the sense of like, with love comes possession, of being like, I own this person in the sense that like they are my significant other. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of possession that comes in relationships these days. And it's hard for people to wrap around the fact that like they don't quote unquote belong to you anymore. And I feel like that's what makes letting people go so difficult. But the thing is like that's such a low vibrational state to be quote unquote loving someone from. Like to me, that's like, I've learned that like that's not, I don't want to say that's not love, but that's not a healthy depiction and expression of love. Like I feel, I'm struggling to like make this to come into a cohesive landing point, but it's just like, I've realized that you can still love someone and have feelings for someone without needing to feel like you need to be into a relationship with them, or feeling like they need to talk to you every day, or feeling like they even need to be in any sort of affiliation with you. And I almost feel like, I do feel like, all right, I don't know how to say this without getting personal, but, this is honestly something of like my own privacy that I want to keep. But I guess like this is a lesson that I learned with someone that I hadn't really ever learned from anyone else. And I've had like quite a bit of dating experience for sure. But I feel like when you can truly still love someone from a place of detachment and feeling like you don't even need to be in my life, you don't owe me anything, we don't need to be dating, we don't need to be whatever, like, and just still feeling like I still have a love for who you are as a person on your soul level, I feel like that's such a high energetic frequency level of loving. And I feel like that's how you know that it's like a true, genuine soul-to-soul love. Because hear me out, I feel like there's a lot of people who are in relationships, but it's really acting from a place of insecurity or fear of abandonment, or they don't want to be alone, or they just want someone there in their life, or they love the idea of them. They love the idea of having a partner. They love the idea of being in a relationship without truly being like, I love this person for their soul for a reason I can't fully always put into words. Do you see what I'm saying? So like, I feel like a lot of people think they love someone, which I'm not going to say that they don't love them, but I'm saying they love the quality of the person. They love the job that they have. They love the image that that person has. They love the thought that this person makes them be in a relationship. And I feel like that's when these kind of lower energetic states of love come in, where they feel this like, obsessive attachment to each other, where they feel like they need to be possessive, where they feel like they have to be linked to one another in order to feel like they love one another. But I feel like stepping into that kind of higher awareness, higher frequency, higher consciousness, higher level of loving will really make you realize that like it is okay to let someone go. And sometimes that's the best thing that you could do for both of you. All right, we're going to move on. I'm kind of struggling to explain that today, but a big thing that helped me with that, though, in terms of action was affirmations. I'd always affirm to myself that, I'm letting go of attachments and expectations, and just knowing that, like, I am all that I need. I have everything within me. I am complete. I am whole. I don't need another person. Journaling, sitting with myself, and just really honestly just affirming that to myself, whether it being affirmations or with my thoughts, are really what helped me to like fully let someone go. And like I said, it is challenging and it doesn't like always go away. I'm not gonna lie, like I still have someone that clearly I still have a person that I'm constantly affirming to myself to let go, and I've made incredible progress. Like, it's not as constant nearly as it used to be in my head by any means, but it will still creep up every so often. They'll still come back into my head, and I still need to affirm to myself, like, it is okay to release. It is okay to let them go. This kind of ties into what I'm trying to explain. Someone else said, how do you get over feeling like you won't find someone who will love you as much as your ex? And I feel like this is a huge reason why people stay in relationships for too long that they're not happy in, that's not, emotionally healthy or emotionally stable or fulfilling, is because people are that's when you're living out of the ego. That's exactly what I mean when people stay in relationships, because they feel like they like the attention that the partner gives them. They like the idea that they're in a relationship. They like the all of the character traits that the person is, but not that they're who they are at their core. They love all of their identity blankets that are on that person that give them a certain image, but not who they truly are. And that's this is exactly what I'm talking about. And that is all the ego talking. That's all of our insecurities. It's all of our traumas coming out and using these people and these relationships as blankets to mask our trauma, our insecurity, etc. And that's just what leads to these unhealthy, unfulfilling, codependent relationships. And I'm going to be honest, someone close to me was kind of going through this. They kind of were going through a breakup with someone, but they felt like they weren't going to be able to find anyone who would love them that same way or treat them the same way or give them as much attention. And now they're back together with that person. I can't speak on them, but in terms of just outside overall observation, it's kind of like, are you with that person because you love them and who they are and their presence, their energetic state, they align with you, or because you're craving attention from someone, which is you acting out of your ego and not acting out of your higher self? I feel like this is very thin ice. If people are in that state, I'm warning you that you're walking on very thin ice, because that is only going to go so deep. And if that is the only reason why you are double, worrying about if you should get back to your ex, the answer is you should not get back with your ex, because that concept has nothing to do with them, who they are as a person. And being in a relationship with someone should have everything to do with who they truly are as a person at their core. You have to just remind yourself you are worthy of love, you are deserving of love, and you have to have, that's a scarcity mindset as well, thinking that like you're not going to find someone who won't love you as much as your ex. That is such a toxic, crippling mindset to be in, and you have to get out of that so freaking fast, sister. That is just a lacking scarcity mindset. You need to go and transfer into an abundant mindset and a loving mindset, knowing that love is everywhere. It constantly surrounds you. Abundance is everywhere. There's enough love to go around. Your person is out there. You are worthy of someone who thinks you're the best person in the whole entire world, who will shower you with love just as much as hopefully you will do the same for someone else. So you just cannot get caught in that, because that's only low vibrational behavior, a low vibrational mindset, and it's going to keep attracting low vibrational things, and you're going to constantly get stuck in this codependent cycle. If that's the only thing that's holding you together with the person you're with, honey, that like gives me anxiety right now thinking about it. You gotta get out of that lane. Swerve, put on the blinker, skirt right out of there. Someone then asked, your opinion on knowing if you're settling and should push for more versus your partner is safe and reliable. When someone asked this, I kind of was like, because I don't think that someone who is safe and reliable shouldn't imply that you're settling. Like, I feel like those things don't all go together. Like, settling and having someone who is safe and reliable is totally different. You can have someone who is safe and reliable. I feel like, I guess what I'm trying to say is people mask when they're settling by saying like, oh, it's a safe and reliable partner and that's why we should stay together. Like, I feel like that's when you're masking someone who's settling. But like, you can have someone who pushes you to be better, who is the ideal partner that you want to have, who, you know, aligns with the way you want to live life, who lives life in the fast lane with you, lives life on offense, pushes you to become better, all of those things, who wants to be the best version of themselves, but who is also safe and reliable, you know? So I think if you're questioning if you're settling, you are most likely settling. And I think that people use, oh, but he's safe and reliable as a cop-out to make you feel better about staying with this person. I don't know, dude. I'm just so adamant about like freaking live life passionately. If it's not passionate, I don't want it. If I'm not excited about it, I don't want it. Like, that's just not me. I don't want to do a job that I don't really care about. I don't want to be in a half-assed love relationship that's like, it works. Like, I just don't. I want to be in love with that person. I want to be like, I freaking admire you. I want to go live life and squeeze the absolute shit out of life with you and, you know, reach our limits, push our boundaries, discover our boundaries. And I feel like if everything is intention and if you're not all fucking in, to what you're doing, your attention isn't there, the passion isn't there, I don't want it. And if that's what you feel like in your relationship, like, I don't know, but like he's safe and reliable, I'm out. Like, it's just, there's so much more life to live, I feel like, than that. And I just feel like that's you capping your potential and just completely just accepting something that's just, I don't know, not fulfilling the max thing that you have access to. And I don't want to say that to feel like you can never feel satisfied, because I feel like that's also a huge trap. You know, like, that's up to you to, you know, find the line of where you'll truly feel fulfilled and satisfied. But at the same time, there's still a fine line between like actually fully going for something you love and you're fully backed behind and just completely settling. Someone else said that I like older guys. Biggest age difference before you think it's weird. I really like older boys, men. I love them. I'm sorry. Not like dad age, but I do. When I speak, honestly, not too long ago, I was out and I met a guy and he was my age. He was 22 and I was like, you look and seem and gave me the presence of a fetus. Like, I was like, this just is not going to work. It's bad. So I think overall, like, if someone said, actually, never mind. I was going to say like 10-year age gap. I would be like, I would still accept that. And I did that. I didn't realize I did that, but I did do that. It wasn't long-term thing. It was like a short 1-month fling, but he was definitely turning 31 and I'm 22, but it was great. And it was such a great experience. So honestly, like, I feel like I probably like 12, anything more than like 11, 12 years. That's weird to me. But honestly, like, who am I to say? But I do like older guys. My sweet spot right now is like 28-year-olds. Yes. Someone asked, how do I learn to be single? I always hesitate towards having someone try to fulfill me. Kind of what I was saying with that codependency previously and all this stuff and having someone be your whole world. You have to learn how to be who you are as a person. Develop your independence. Develop what gives you meaning and passion and fulfillment on your own. Like, it is so important because I talked about this with that identity episode. Everything else in life is fleeting except for who you are and your mindset, like your soul and your mind. So you need to figure out like how to find fulfillment within those two things, solely within those two things, and have everything else on that in life be a cherry on top, but know that you don't need those things to fulfill you. I think learning to become single, quote unquote, takes time. It takes developing a relationship with yourself. It takes time to like figure out what your new passions are and all that sort of stuff. But it's so important to do that because I've been like I said, so I haven't had like an official established relationship in like 3 years now. And I feel like that was so important to me. Like, yes, I've 100% dated on and off through there, but it was never to the point where like I was with this person. Like, I do think it's different than being like really truly official with someone. Like we're in a relationship, I feel like you spend a lot more time together and you depend a lot more on one another when you're like fully in a relationship. So I feel like this time has like made me learn so much about myself, and I feel like I'm going to be able to show up so much more wholeheartedly and whole in my next relationship, which is so important to be able to then have a healthy relationship. So no, like it's just, this is such an important growing time for you with spending that time being single, to know what you're about, know like who makes you, like what makes you who you are and what makes you tick and all that sort of stuff independent of someone, because then when it is time for you, you'll be able to show up in, the best way that you possibly can, and without you fearing abandonment and fearing the end of the relationship, which is going to make you act out of fear and insecurity within the relationship, which isn't a recipe for anything good. So knowing how to be okay single allows you to show up in a relationship without that insecurity and that feeling of lack and fear of abandonment, which is going to allow you to have such a more prosperous, healthy relationship with much more potential for actual longevity. When someone leaves me for another girl, how do I manage to not feel like it's my fault? Love this one. Another big thing that I realized as well, because I feel like when someone gets rejected, they're like, oh, that means I wasn't good enough for XYZ. It truly, like, it became so apparent to me that is not what it means at all. Like, it is not what it means at all. There are people that, will come up to me or whatever, and I'm like, they seem like a great person. They're good looking, but I just don't vibe with them. That's okay. Like, it truly had nothing to do with the person. It had everything to do with just me, my own type, what I felt like I resonated with. It didn't mean that they weren't enough. It just means that we weren't in alignment. I didn't feel in alignment with that person. And realizing that helped me so much to be like, oh, so every time it didn't work out with someone else because I felt like they weren't interested in me, it wasn't because I was necessarily lacking. It was because we just weren't in alignment. But that's what makes the world go round. That's what's going to make that person come into alignment with their person that they're going to choose to spend the rest of their life with. And that's what's going to make me come into honest alignment with the person that I want to choose, that I want to, live my whole life with. So I feel like that was a really big lesson for me, to know that, like, just because someone leaves you or rejects you or whatever, or choose someone else, that doesn't mean that you are less than. It just means that you weren't for them, which is totally fine. And like, thank the Lord that they recognize that, because that's the worst that's just the worst thing, to just simply be with the wrong person. I would so much rather be alone than, be with the wrong person. And I'm happy that that other person was able to recognize that and feel that and like follow their intuition and follow their gut. And you just have to trust that everything is also happening as it should, when it should, like in divine timing and all that sort of stuff. Everyone's on their own path. Someone asked, is experiencing different people before you settle that crucial? You rock, BTW. Awesome question. Also, this is my girl Rose. She's so cute. She called me a self-love genie, and so she put a little genie emoji in a heart, and I know that's what she's implying. So hi, Rosie. Or Rose. Sorry, I don't know why I said Rosie. I think this is my thing. I feel like yes, but not to the extent that it's like made out to be in society. I don't mean like it's important to experience other people in the terms of like sleeping with a bunch of different people. I don't think it's that at all. But I do think there's a lot of value to experiencing other people's love and experiencing other people in the bedroom, because sexual chemistry is so important. I guess it's like I get a little bit when I see people who are like just get married to the genuine first person they dated, all that sort of stuff, because I'm like, you don't really have any comparison. And like, not saying that like, too much comparison is a bad thing. I do agree with that, especially in relationships, because then you feel like you have so many options, and it just is kind of also another recipe for disaster. But I do think there's a lot of benefit, and just having that contrast between people provides clarity for you to know what you like, what you don't like in a relationship, what you like in a bedroom, what you don't like in the bedroom, what it feels like to actually click in a bedroom. Because I will tell you, in some of my initial relationships, first times being intimate with people, I kind of was like, this doesn't, isn't really doing it for me. And for a long time I thought like this is just what intimacy was, and like I that was just it. But then I have now experienced it with people who it's been steamy and exciting and hot and all that sort of stuff, and like super exciting, and I'm like, oh, okay, so like it can be more. I just didn't know. So I think that it definitely has its merit to it. And also, like I said, I'm really big on people experiencing heartbreak, because I think it does an amazing for character development and learning how to be independent and how to process your own emotions. So I think I would love for most people to go through a heartbreak, at least one, before they settle down with someone. But I think yes and no. It's worth it to have contrast, to kind of gain more to learn more about yourself, honestly, more than anything, but don't feel like you need to be going around with tons of people to feel like you need to then know what you want, you know? Have you ever dated someone whom you love to go to the gym together? Yes, that was my second boyfriend. Shout out Austin. Him and I were just like best friends, honestly. Like we had so much fun together and our humor was just the exact same, and we would just constantly mess around, and it was like I'm telling you, we were just best friends. Like we would laugh all the time, mess with each other. It was so fun, and we would have so much fun at the gym because we would also just freaking mess around at the gym. But yeah. Okay, last question I'm going to answer. I feel this is a good one to end on, and I love this question, and I've honestly been thinking about it even more like this past year. So she said, do you believe / have thoughts on the right person, wrong time? I really truly do believe in the right person, the wrong time. I do. And I was actually talking to someone about this last summer, and they were saying how they don't believe in it. Like they fully believe that like you could meet the right person, but you either missed the opportunity, the timing is wrong, and you just won't ever come into contact with that person again. And you have missed the opportunity to be with that person, which that baffled me. Again, I'm super idealistic, super optimistic, maybe to a fault sometimes, but I just can't swallow that. I won't accept that. I think I just can't have the thought of oh, you're a person and you missed the opportunity, they went by, it was the wrong time, and you're never going to cross paths with them again. I just don't accept that, and I don't think that's how it works. I think that the thing is, the kicker with this expression is I don't think it ever is the wrong time. It's just not now. Does this make sense? So right person, wrong time is all about you met the right person, but it was bad timing with their job and things didn't work out, whatever. Meaning implying that that just wasn't the incorrect time. But my thing is, I don't think it was incorrect time. I think that was a time in a pinpoint in your guys' journey towards one another that needed to happen to then bring you guys back together later on when the time, actually is right, in the sense that you guys can actually officially come into union. Does that make sense? I feel like that time where you come together and may not be able to be in a stable relationship for a long time, that is still part of your guys' soul's journey towards being able to come in long-term union. It's like a pit stop, if you will, that you guys needed to do that in order to meet one another, experience one another, to then feel that pull to come back to one another in quote unquote the right time. So I do 100% believe in the right person, wrong time. And I think you just have to wait for the uni and for divine timing to bring you guys back together when you guys are actually time to come into physical union. So for the affirmation that I'm going to leave you guys with today, it says, I am worthy of love. I am capable of love. I am ready for love. So it's kind of a mantra, 3 sentences. I said this a lot to myself last summer. I am worthy of love. I am capable of love. I am ready for love. A lot of times our energetic state really is what blocks relationships and us coming into alignment with people that, that we are meant to love and be in a relationship with and all that good stuff. So it really all starts with how you see yourself, if you deserve love, how you see love, if you're open to love, if you feel ready for love. So affirming those things to me really helped me kind of open up my heart space and stay in that frequency of love. So one more time, it says, I am worthy of love. I am capable of love. I am ready for love. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I kind of was all over the place for sure. Feel like it kind of got a little bit better at the end, but thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I definitely would like to do more episodes on this in the future, maybe just in a different style, different format, so we'll see. So I'm sending you guys so much love, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.